My name is Ethan Carter. And before everything fell apart, I thought I understood loyalty. I met Ryan Mitchell when we were 13 years old. 7th grade. Middle school lockers. Cheap backpacks. Basketball courts with cracked pavement. He was new that year. Quiet. Taller than most of us. Kept to himself. I remember the first time we talked. It wasn't some big movie moment. We both got benched during basketball practice. Coach said we weren't aggressive enough. Ryan sat next to me on the bleachers and said, "Guess we both suck." I laughed. And that was it. That's how it started. No dramatic handshake. No deep conversation. Just two kids feeling out of place. And somehow, that turned into 15 years. High school is where it became real. Ryan's dad passed away sophomore year. Heart attack. Sudden. No warning. I remember going to his house the night it happened. The house felt different. Too quiet. His mom looked hollow. Ryan didn't cry in front of anyone. Not at school. Not at the funeral. But one night, about a week later, he came over to my place. We were sitting in my basement. No music. No TV. And he just said, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do now." That was the first time I saw him break. He didn't sob. He didn't yell. He just cracked. And I stayed with him that night. Didn't say anything powerful. Just stayed. From that moment on, we weren't just friends. We were brothers. That word meant something to me. Brother meant you protect each other. You don't cross certain lines. You don't even think about crossing certain lines. We graduated together. Went to the same college. Shared a tiny apartment with broken heating and a fridge that barely worked. We struggled together. Late-night ramen. Rejected job interviews. Student loans are piling up. We used to sit on the balcony and talk about the future. About the kind of lives we'd build. Ryan always said one thing. Whatever happens, we don't let success change us. And I believed him. Because I would have taken a bullet for that guy. And I thought he'd do the same for me. I met Madison Carter when I was 27. It was at a small coffee shop downtown. She was reading a book. Not scrolling on her phone. Not distracted. Just present. There was something calm about her. And after years of chaos, jobs, moving cities, chasing stability, calm felt rare. We talked for almost 2 hours that first day. About nothing dramatic. Music. Family. Work stress. But when I left that coffee shop, I knew something felt different. Ryan was the first person I told. He made fun of me at first. Said I sounded whipped already. But when he met her, his energy shifted. He shook her hand. Looked her in the eye. And later that night, he told me, "She's solid. Don't mess this up." That meant something. Ryan didn't compliment people easily. Madison blended into our lives naturally. Game nights. Cookouts. Weekend trips. It felt healthy. Balanced. Safe. If there were red flags back then, they were microscopic. And trust has a way of shrinking warning signs until they disappear. This is the part one think about the most now. Comfort. Ryan became part of our home. Not a guest. Not a visitor. Part of it. He had a key. He'd walk in without knocking. Grab drinks from the fridge. Sit on the couches. He lived there. Madison laughed at his stories. Sometimes harder than she laughed at mine. But I didn't question it. Because why would I? He was my brother. She was my wife. Two people I trusted independently. So trusting them together felt automatic. Looking back, I see something I didn't see then. Boundaries weren't crossed loudly. They were eroded quietly. Small things. Longer hugs. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Texts at odd hours. But nothing is undeniable. Nothing that would justify suspicion. And that's how betrayal grows. Not in chaos. In comfort. On the outside, my life looked stable. Steady job in Columbus. 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. A wife who supported me. A best friend who came over every weekend. We hosted barbecues. Watched football. Talked about the future. Sometimes I would look around my living room and think, this is it. This is what we worked for. Ryan used to sit in my kitchen late at night after Madison went to bed. We'd talk about investments. About starting a business someday. About being godfathers to each other's kids. He once said, if anything ever happened to you, I'd take care of Madison. At the time, that felt comforting. Now, that sentence echoes differently. But back then, it felt like loyalty. I didn't know I was living inside an illusion. Because illusions don't look fake when you're standing inside them. They look like home. If I'm being honest. There was one moment. One small crack. About 8 months before I found out. Ryan came over while I was stuck late at work. Madison texted me. Ryan stopped by to drop something off. Normal. Completely normal. But when I got home that night, the energy felt slightly off. Not dramatic. Just shifted. Madison seemed distant. Ryan left quickly when I arrived. I asked her casually. How long was he here? She said. Not long. And maybe that was true. Maybe that's when it started. Or maybe it had already started long before that. The truth is, affairs don't begin physically. They begin emotionally. With conversation. With validation. With attention. And I was busy. Focused on work. Focused on building something. I never imagined I was slowly leaving space for someone else to fill. Here's something I've learned. Trust is beautiful. But it can also make you blind. When people warned me jokingly, man, Ryan's over a lot, I defended him. When Madison smiled at her phone late at night, I didn't ask. When Ryan canceled plans with vague excuses, I didn't push. Because once you decide someone is loyal, your brain filters out evidence that challenges it. I would have bet my life on that friendship. And I would have bet my marriage on that love. I lost both. But at that time, I didn't know the storm was already forming. I didn't know that comfort had turned into secrecy. And I definitely didn't know that one Tuesday night was about to split my life into before and after. It was an ordinary Tuesday. And that's what makes it unforgettable. Not a holiday. Not a fight. Not an anniversary. Just a regular weekday in October. I left work around 6:15 p.m. Traffic was light. The sky was already dark. That early fall darkness that makes everything feel quieter than it is. Ryan had texted earlier. Game at 7. I'm coming over. Normal. That sentence had been sent hundreds of times before. When I pulled into the driveway, his truck was already there. Inside, Madison was in the kitchen. Ryan was on the couch, flipping channels. The house smelled like garlic and tomato sauce. Everything felt safe. Ryan slapped my shoulder when I walked in. Finally. Thought you ditched us. Madison smiled at me. Soft. Warm. Nothing unusual. If betrayal has a sound, it isn't loud. It sounds like dishes clinking. It sounds like casual laughter. It sounds like normal. We ate. We watched the game. Ryan and I argued about a bad referee call. Madison rolled her eyes at both of us. There was no tension. No visible guilt. No awkwardness. Just familiarity. That's the part one replay the most. Because if there had been something obvious, something glaring, maybe I could forgive myself for missing it. But there wasn't. Around 9:40 p.m., Ryan suddenly stood up. Too fast. Almost like he remembered something urgent. Shoot. I've got that early meeting tomorrow. I remember thinking that was odd. He usually stayed until the game ended. But I didn't question it. He grabbed his jacket quickly. Didn't finish his drink. Didn't say much more. Just a quick handshake. A quick, see you. And he left. The front door shut. Madison gathered plates. I'm going to shower, she said. Normal. Completely normal. Water started running upstairs. The house became quiet. And I walked into the kitchen. That's when I saw it. Ryan's phone. Face up. On the counter. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Just staring at it. It felt like one of those moments in movies where the camera zooms in slowly. Except this wasn't a movie. It was my kitchen. My counter. My best friend's phone. The screen lit up. A notification banner appeared. Madison. And underneath it. I can still feel you. 3 dots appeared. She was typing again. Time slowed. There's a strange thing that happens when your brain sees something it refuses to process. It tries to rewrite it. Maybe it's sarcasm. Maybe it's about a joke. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. But deep down, something heavy dropped inside my chest. I picked up the phone. Not aggressively. Not shaking. Almost calmly. Like I was holding something fragile. My thumb hovered over the screen. I knew his passcode. We had used the same 4 numbers since high school. I told myself. If it doesn't unlock, this is all in your head. It unlocked. Instantly. And the message thread opened automatically. The first thing I noticed wasn't the words. It was the frequency. Their conversation was constant. Daily. Hourly. More than Madison texted me. Inside jokes. Photos. Memes. Long paragraphs. And then I saw it. A message from Ryan. Does he suspect anything? Madison replied. He's clueless. That word hit harder than the message I saw first. Clueless. Not angry. Not betrayed. Not hurt. Clueless. Like I was a joke. Like I was background noise in my own life. My breathing changed. Not fast. Just shallow. I scrolled higher. Hotel confirmations. One from downtown. One from 2 towns over. Dates that matched nights I was working late. Or out of town for meetings. My mind began connecting things automatically. The late nights. The random work emergencies she had. Ryan canceled a weekend trip at the last minute. It wasn't chaos. It was organized. Planned. Comfortable. And then I saw a video file. Sent 3 days earlier. Ryan, 4 later. Madison, you're bad. My thumb stopped. I could have stopped there. I should have stopped there. Because some things, once seen, never leave you. But I pressed play. The video opened in silence. Then sound. Laughter. Her laughter. The kind I heard every morning. The kind I thought belonged to me. The camera adjusted. And there they were. In a hotel room. Comfortable. Familiar. Not nervous. Not rushed. Not like two people making a mistake. Like two people who had done this before. Many times. I didn't watch the whole thing. I couldn't. 10 seconds was enough. Enough to feel something inside me shift permanently. It's hard to describe what I felt. It wasn't rage. It wasn't screaming anger. It was emptiness. Like someone pulled the floor out from under my reality. Like I was suddenly outside my own body, watching my life collapse from a distance. Upstairs, the shower was still running. Water hitting tile. Steam filling the bathroom. Normal sounds. And that contrast broke me more than the video did. Because the world outside my mind hadn't changed. Only mine had. I closed the video. Locked the phone. Placed it exactly where I found it. And I sat down at the kitchen table. In silence. Not crying. Not shaking. Just staring at the wall. For the first time in 15 years. I questioned everything. Every memory. Every laugh. Every moment Ryan stood next to me at my wedding. Every time Madison said she loved me. Was it real? Or was I just the safe option? The stable one? The provider? And then another thought entered my mind. One that surprised even me. They think I don't know. And that gave me power. I didn't confront her. That's the part most people don't understand. I didn't storm upstairs. I didn't kick doors open. I didn't scream. Instead, I washed my hands. I poured myself a glass of water. And I waited. Madison came downstairs about 20 minutes later. Hair damp. Wearing one of my old college t-shirts. She looked normal. She kissed my cheek. Asked if Ryan texted saying he got home safe. And I said, yeah. He did. My voice didn't shake. That scared me more than anything. Because that meant something inside me had already shut off. We went to bed. She fell asleep quickly. I lay there staring at the ceiling. Listening to her breathe. And that's when it hit me. The woman next to me had been somewhere else 3 nights ago. With him. Laughing. Touching. Choosing. And I had no idea. You think betrayal feels like fire. It doesn't. It feels like ice. Cold. Numb. Sharp. I turned my head slightly and looked at her in the dark. I tried to see the woman I married. The one who cried during our vows. The one who held my hand when my mom had surgery. But my brain wouldn't connect those images anymore. Instead, I saw the hotel room. The beige walls. His voice. And I realized something terrifying. I didn't recognize my own life anymore. I didn't sleep. Not really. When her alarm went off at 6:30 a.m., she stretched and smiled at me. Morning. I said it back. Like nothing happened. We moved around each other in the kitchen. Coffee brewing. Toaster popping. Routine. And routine is dangerous. Because routine makes betrayal feel unreal. Before leaving for work, she kissed me. Soft. Habitual. I almost flinched. Almost. Then she walked out the door. And the house became quiet. That's when the weight fully dropped. I sat on the couch, hands clasped, and replayed the last 6 months in my head. Every late night at work. Every girls' night. Every time Ryan cancelled plans. Patterns began connecting like puzzle pieces. And I asked myself something I didn't want to ask. How long have I been the only one who didn't know? That question hurt more than the cheating. Because cheating is betrayal. But humiliation? That's something else. Humiliation is knowing other people might have known. That you were the last to see it. And then the anger came. Not explosive. Not loud. Controlled. Cold. They think I'm clueless. That word echoed again. Clueless. I stood up slowly. Walked to the mirror in the hallway. Looked at myself. And for the first time in years, I didn't see confidence. I saw doubt. Was I not enough? Was I too busy? Too trusting? Too comfortable? And then something inside me shifted. This wasn't about worth. This was about deception. And deception has consequences. But I needed to be smart. If I reacted emotionally, I would lose control. And control was the only thing I had left. For the next 2 weeks, I said nothing. That was the hardest part. Ryan came over 3 days later. Like nothing happened. He hugged me. Looked me in the eye. Smiled. And I watched him. Really watched him. The way he avoided leaving his phone unattended now. The way Madison and him barely made eye contact when I was in the room. Too careful. Overcorrecting. That's when I knew something. They were nervous. Which meant they thought there was a chance I knew. But they weren't sure. And uncertainty creates cracks. I played normal. Talked sports. Talked work. Even joked. Inside, I was collecting evidence. One night, Ryan left his phone charging in the kitchen again. He went outside to take a call. Madison was upstairs. My heart didn't race this time. I walked calmly to the counter. Unlocked it again. More messages. More hotels. More planning. I took photos of everything. Sent them to a hidden email. Deleted the sent confirmation. Locked the phone. Returned it exactly where it was. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was building something. Something final. Something strange happens when trust dies. Love doesn't immediately disappear. It fades slowly. Like a light dimming. Madison would talk about her day. And I would nod. But I wasn't really there. She would ask if I was okay. I'd say I was tired. And that was partially true. I was tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of replaying images in my head. Tired of hearing Ryan's voice echo in my memory. At night, she would reach for me. And I would freeze for half a second before responding. That half second grew longer each day. I started sleeping closer to the edge of the bed. I started leaving the house earlier. Staying at work later. Not because I wanted distance. But because I needed space to think clearly. And in that space, an idea started forming. Not revenge. Not chaos. Exposure. Because secrets thrive in darkness. And I was done living in the dark. The breaking point wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Ryan texted me one afternoon. Grateful for you, brother. Always got your back. I stared at that message for a long time. And something inside me snapped. Not loudly. But permanently. He had the audacity to use that word. brother. While sleeping with my wife. And in that moment, I stopped seeing him as someone who betrayed me. I started seeing him as someone who underestimated me. They both did. They thought I was blind. Passive. Safe. But they forgot something. I knew them. Better than anyone. And that meant I knew their weaknesses too. Ryan hated embarrassment. He built his image carefully. Successful. Charismatic. Dependable. Madison cared deeply about how people saw her. The perfect wife. The balanced woman. If I exposed them privately, they'd survive it. If I exposed them publicly, they'd never be the same. And that's when the plan stopped being a thought. And started becoming real. Once I decided I wasn't going to confront them privately, everything became strategy. The hardest part wasn't gathering evidence. It was performing normal. Smiling when Ryan joked. Letting Madison kiss me goodbye. Sitting across from them at dinner while knowing exactly what they'd done. You don't realize how much acting is required in daily life until you're forced to lie about your own pain. Ryan texted more often during those weeks. Checking in. Sending memes. As if overcompensating. Madison became softer with me. More attentive. Almost like guilt was leaking through small cracks. But neither of them confessed. That told me something important. They weren't planning to stop. They were planning to manage it. And that was the final confirmation I needed. Before you expose someone, you have to understand them. Ryan built his identity around reputation. He was the dependable one. The rising professional. The guy everyone trusted. He hated looking foolish. Even in college, if he embarrassed himself at a party, he'd obsess over it for days. Madison valued perception too. She curated her image carefully. Polished social media. Careful captions. Thoughtful comments. They both lived in public approval. Which meant private exposure wasn't enough. If this stayed between the three of us, they would recover. Spin it. Rebuild quietly. But if the truth unfolded in front of people whose opinions mattered, there would be no rewriting it. And I didn't want chaos. I wanted clarity. I wanted a moment where denial was impossible. A moment where they had to sit in what they did. Without escape. Ryan's birthday was 3 weeks away. We always did something. Usually a dinner. Sometimes a small party. This year, he mentioned keeping it low-key. Which gave me the perfect opening. I texted him. Let me plan something. You deserve it. He replied instantly. Appreciate you, brother. That word again. Brother. Madison helped me coordinate guest lists. She suggested inviting Mark from Ryan's office. A couple of college friends. Even my cousin Tyler. She had no idea she was helping build the stage. I booked a private room at a restaurant downtown. Neutral territory. Public enough. Contained enough. I told everyone it was a surprise celebration. I told the restaurant staff I'd prepared a short slideshow. Just memories. No one questioned it. Because why would they? I was the loyal best friend. The supportive husband. And the scariest part? I played that role perfectly. I didn't plan to show everything. Just enough. Too much would look like revenge. Too little would invite denial. I edited the hotel clip carefully.